Have you guys seen the new Nintendo Switch Pro? The new Dell Alienware UFO concept? While it may not be a Nintendo Switch, the Alienware UFO is clearly inspired by the hybrid console. The thing is, this is no console. Oh no, it's an ultra-mobile PC, or a UMPC for short, with gaming in mind. That's right, this little machine is a full-fledged handheld gaming PC, but it isn't the first of its kind. The Razer Edge and GPD Win both had the same idea, albeit with much worse execution. But none of this would be possible without Nintendo. Okay, so the Alienware UFO totally looks like a beefed-up Nintendo Switch, and that's because they've taken a lot of what made the console so unique and implemented it into their concept. The controllers work pretty much exactly like the Joy-Cons do on the Switch. You could attach them to the console to use in handheld mode, and you can also remove them and place them on each side of the hub to use as a more traditional controller. Oh, and yes, it does have a kickstand, so you can rest it on a table and use your hub controller. The possibilities are endless, and I haven't even got into the specs yet. The Alienware UFO is a full-fledged gaming PC that runs Windows 10 and has an 8-inch 1200p touchscreen, which is actually insane when compared to the Switch's 6.2-inch 720p touchscreen. The larger the screen, the better when it comes to handheld gaming. As for the CPU, all we know is that the Alienware UFO will have at least a 10th generation Intel Core i5 processor. But if you expected it to have an NVIDIA GeForce GPU, it seems to just have integrated Intel graphics, which is good enough for gaming. What this means is that you won't be able to play many AAA games on max settings, but most games will certainly play smoothly on the UFO. It has two USB-C ports, one at the top and one at the bottom. They can be used to charge the device, set it up to a monitor, or even attach a mouse and keyboard. There is no information on the battery life of the Alienware UFO at this time, but I don't expect it to be great considering the powerful CPU and display of the device. At the end of the day, the Alienware UFO is still just a concept. It's a concept that Dell has clearly given a lot of thought, but it's just a concept as of right now. If it ever does see the light of day and wind up on store shelves, you're no doubt going to be forking out more than $1,000 to get your hands on this handheld gaming PC. Why is the price point so high? Because that's about how much the handheld gaming PCs of the past cost. Yep, the Alienware UFO isn't the first foray into the world of gaming UMPCs. In fact, there have been two well-known attempts to create exactly what Dell is trying to create with the UFO. Let's start with the first gaming UMPC of its kind, the Razer Edge. Released in 2013, the Razer Edge is the coolest name for a product ever. While it was technically advertised as a gaming tablet and not a handheld gaming PC, let's be honest, it's a handheld gaming PC. The Razer Edge is a Windows 8 tablet that has a 10.1-inch 768p display with an Intel i5 CPU and an NVIDIA GeForce GT 640M LE GPU. If you upgrade to the Razer Edge Pro, you can get an Intel i7 CPU, which will be even better for gaming. Just like the Switch, you could play games on the Edge in multiple different ways, including tablet mode, keyboard dock mode, mobile console mode with controllers on each side of the tablet, and home console mode with a dock that allows the tablet to connect to a TV or monitor. It was an unbelievable package at $1,000, but simply wasn't worth it in 2013 when you could have gotten a more typical gaming PC for even cheaper. The GPD Win that was released in 2016 was the same story, but its specs were less impressive than the Razer Edge because it was more designed for retro gaming and emulation than PC gaming. The GPD Win is a UMPC that runs Windows 10 with an Intel Atom processor and integrated Intel graphics. It wasn't anything special, but it got the job done. The GPD Win 2 was released in 2018 with improved specs, but it was a little bit underwhelming and not quite at the level of the Razer Edge. On top of all that, these products cost around $1,000, so it was a lot to spend on a device with those specs. There was also the SmackZ project launched in 2016, but we don't talk about the SmackZ here. They still have yet to release the console, so it's dead as far as I'm concerned. It may seem odd, but we have Nintendo to thank for all these innovative handheld devices, because it's their original Game Boy that was launched in 1989, which changed handheld gaming forever. It showed us that gaming doesn't only need to take place in front of a TV or arcade cabinet. It could take place anywhere. Nintendo dominated the handheld market due to their incredible games on the consoles and solid pricing. The only real competition they had was the PSP, and they still came out on top. Now with the Switch, they're still on top of the handheld market, and are inspiring many other companies, like Dell Alienware, to try and make a Nintendo Switch killer. As you can see, there have been plenty of attempts at making a handheld gaming PC, but it's the cost that has held them back from becoming mainstream. A lot of people don't have $1,000 to spend on a gaming UMPC when they could just buy a traditional gaming PC for the same price. Until the price of these devices comes down to around $600 to $750, they're not gonna get many sales. For this reason, the Nintendo Switch should remain the king of the handheld gaming market for the foreseeable future. Honestly, the whole idea of a handheld gaming PC is something I've never even thought of. It just seems so improbable, but now that I know they exist, I totally want one. Just take my money, Dell, even if I need to make a down payment on the device. Give me that Alienware UFO.